Are there any other learnings during your time at Amazon? I'm sure we could fill a whole episode, but if you had to pick one or two things that this is a audience of financial advisors, entrepreneurs, independent business owners out there that could help them before we get to the Google season of your life, what would those be?
I mean, you're right. This could be a 10-part series if we dissect all the things that I learned from Amazon. It was my personal business school. I consider the greatest privilege that the universe has given me that I got to sit literally at the desk physically closest to Jeff Bezos's in the entire organization for 3 of the foundational years. If I had to choose just a couple lessons, one I teased already, which was especially when you're starting out as you're scaling, prioritize people. I strongly believe that people matter more than perfecting your business plan or, a lot of those other core deliverables they teach you to think about in an MBA. Jeff taught me to prioritize the people and surround yourself with the highest quality people, not only in how smart and resilient they are, but are they honest? Are they passion and mission aligned with you? Jeff really taught me about humble leadership, which usually gets a little bit of a funny look when I say, because probably not the first word that comes to mind when you think of at least today's version of a Jack space cowboy version of Jeff Bezos probably isn't
Mhm.
humility, but it is 100% the secret to his success, especially in those early years that I spent by his side. He surrounded himself with people who he not only tolerated, but demanded tell him the truth. He had a full-time role called the Shadow, which is now called technical director, where that person's full-time job was to be at his side, copied on every email, in every meeting, on every flight, literally shadowing him 24/7. And that person's full-time job was to poke holes in all his favorite ideas and make sure he was looking around blank corners and didn't get too comfortable and rest on his laurels. He knew he needed someone in that role. And when I look at CEOs now, that's often a big differentiation. When I consider taking on a new client, I often first want to meet their leadership team because it tells me a lot about the character of the CEO themselves, the team that they've chosen to surround themselves with. And then, like, I could go on and on. It's hard. I was going to quickly choose a third, but it's so hard. I
It's
think it's
it's
a
it, yeah,
I
go.
think
If you've got one, go for it.
I just, it's a floodgate. Now we've opened floodgates. I have so many ideas. But if I had to pick one to wrap it up, the top three would be his risk tolerance, which for me was so eye-opening. And it seems like now, at least looking back, it seems like he had a crystal ball and everything was very obvious and the path forward was there and the money printing machine was going from day one. Incorrect. What I really wish people would understand was how much calculated decision making was going on. We did not know what would work out. There's a lot of famous results of huge failures that Amazon had. But the reason why it didn't break down the whole company and the reason why he was able to be profitable when very few others could after the dot-com bust was he considered every decision an experiment. He never just made a decision once and then never touched it again. He would make a decision. And in that meeting, we would then lay out what I now call the green lights and the red flags. We've made a decision today, documented based on these premises, this information, this data. If our decision is correct, we expect to see these following green lights turn on, and very, very specifically laid out what we're looking for. If our decision is incorrect, if there's data we didn't have, a premise upon which wasn't steady, we will see these red flags show up. And that gave us indicators of when we need to circle back. Either it's all green lights and we need to replicate this decision making across other areas of the organization, or red flag indicators of like, time to come back. Let's see what's changed in the meantime and let's pivot and do it better as fast as possible. So I think that in and of itself taught me probably one of the most important executive lessons for me, which is, yeah, consider every decision an experiment. And I think that's why Jeff has remained, or Amazon has remained very, very, very competitive, even several decades into their journey.
Yeah, I love that. Because I think a lot of times people get so stuck. It's like, oh, this is a final decision and it's
Mm-hmm.
irreversible. And it's like, no, just look at it as an experiment and yes or no. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, go ahead. Did you have some
I
additional
it
thoughts there?
The way you describe that reminds me of Reid Hoffman talks about it as one-way door or two-way doors. And there's very few decisions that we actually make as business leaders that are a one-way door. It's like we can never come back from this decision moment. less than 1%. Most of them are two-way doors. We can come back, we can revisit, we can go through it in a new way, we can iterate, pivot, and it's actually, I mean, you want to be decisive. You don't want to constantly be changing or distracting your teams. But for me, that is very freeing as somebody whose natural tendencies are perfectionist in nature, and I can have perfectionist paralysis. It is very helpful for me to be like, no, this is an experiment. Let's just experiment, gather more data, and then go.
Yeah. Well, your story on, you called it his shadow. He literally called it his shadow was
Yeah,
the role.
literally
It
the
rem-
official title. Shout out.
wow. Uh, I was reading, I read The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday, and this was a couple of days back, but there was a story in there about these Roman generals. They would go conquer a civilization, and then they would throw a big parade when they came back, and they would literally have somebody riding behind them in the chariot, and they would be whispering in their ear, "Remember, you will die. Remember, you will
Wow.
die," just to keep them grounded and like
Wow.
you are not some god, even though all these people are singing your praises. And do you have any idea where he came up with that role? Because that's what it reminded me of immediately when you told that story.
No one's ever asked me that before. Actually, I don't know if he modeled this having some historical reference. He is a voracious reader, so it's very possible that those stories were fresh in his mind. But yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know where
I,
he got it from. Hmm.
I just think that is as a leader, the most dangerous thing that I've
Hmm.
seen. I've seen a lot of very successful financial advisors that they're hungry students in the early days. There's no ego.
Yeah.
And then as success starts to come along, now all of a sudden ego creeps up, and now all of those ideas they were open to, now it's like, oh no, I've got this figured out. I'm kind of pretty good at what I do. And I just love that role. It's literally to check his ego, poke holes. And I
Hmm.
just think there's such a lesson in that. And that has to be a big piece, an unspoken piece, because I've never heard that story before of one of the reasons Amazon is what it is today.
And that original shadow was Andy Jassy, who 19 years later was tapped to become Jeff's successor as CEO of Amazon. That's how long, this is how far in the future Jeff is investing in humans. It's a very, people ask me all the time, what's it like to work directly for Jeff Bezos? And my word is relentless. That is a
Mm.
core value of his. He is very successful because he does not give up in the face of adversity or doubt or speculation, or it's just he knows his vision. He's very confident in it. But I think you're right. He must have seen the need to counterbalance that confidence. He's insanely smart and always has been since he was very, very young. People knew how wildly intelligent and fast learning he was. But him investing in Andy is just one way that he did that. The average tenure of his senior vice presidents, his direct reports, is more than a decade. And if you are signing up for more than a decade to an environment which everyone unquestionably would agree is relentless, you have to know that you're getting a lot in return. So I would say that's something that he also did as a leader. If you disappointed him or you didn't do your best, you were definitely going to hear about it. He did not hold any punches, but he did that in a way that was investing in you. You knew that you were going to be stronger tomorrow, smarter tomorrow, better tomorrow because of this. And so it didn't wear you down. We didn't burn out because it was my mantra now is that your job should give as much to you as you give to it. And for me, that's always been a decidedly high bar. And I think that is what I learned from Jeff and the way he thought about talent and developing talent and investing in people in the long run. There's a lot of people in the early internet who burnt through their teams, and it was kind of like a 18-month like in and out door because people just couldn't hang. He did the opposite.